Hello, all you big, beautiful brains out there. Today, we're going to talk about contagious yawning. Before we get started, take a minute to subscribe to Psy vs. Psy. Help out your friendly neighborhood psychologist while I tell you all about contagious yawning. So, we've all done it. You're sitting there in class, maybe at work, maybe watching a particularly educational YouTube video, and you see someone yawning. Before you can stop yourself, it's already escaping. You yawn. It's like your body just can't help itself. You're not really tired and you're not really bored, but that yawning is already out there in the world for every boss or customer or really boring professor to see. So why do we yawn when we see someone else yawn? Contagious yawning, or the act of yawning after observing a yawn, is actually a pretty well-studied scientific phenomenon. It's been demonstrated to hold true across cultures and even across conditions that may seem a little out there. For instance, hearing a yawn, or reading about a yawn, or even just thinking about yawning can trigger a yawn. And there are a lot of possible explanations out there for why yawning is contagious. From it being a mechanism for thermal regulation to a modal action pattern, all the way to an entire empathetic neural network that we don't yet completely understand. Since psychologists study the brain and behavior, this has become a huge mystery in psychology. So let's go over what we do know. For starters, we know that you aren't making a conscious decision to yawn. In a 2005 study, researchers put participants into an fMRI machine to actually study the parts of your brain that are activated when you see a yawn. They showed them videos of people yawning, and they noticed that the part of your brain that is where most of your mirror neurons are found is kind of skipped entirely when you see someone yawn. Now, mirror neurons are a kind of complicated, but simply put, they are what lets you copy the actions of another individual. Since the yawn seeing brain skips the activation of mirror neurons, that means it's not just us seeing someone yawn and making a conscious decision to yawn. Our brains are forcing us to copy without even being aware that we're copying. The other thing we know is that it's not just us. Chimpanzees studied in 2004 and given a very similar test to the one humans go through when they're looking at contagious yawning, also showed the same tendency to yawn when they witnessed other chimps yawning. That means if it's something related to empathy in our brains, it is possible for other non-human animals to have that exact same type of empathy. A 2009 study of baboons and contagious yawning demonstrated that they too fall victim to the contagious yawn. They even showed that a baboon was more likely to yawn when they were closely bonded with a baboon who initially yawned. That's incredible. The animal data would especially seem to lend itself to support the idea of empathy being involved in contagious yawning. But a 2017 study pointed out some pretty big flaws in this theory, including questioning the basis of the connection at all, and even calling out why some basic relationships that should be easily demonstrated if there really was a connection between empathy and the contagious yawn. For instance, women have been shown time and time again to score higher on measures of empathy than on other genders, but there's no discernible difference between any gender when it comes to contagious yawning. So it may be that the information gathered so far on empathy and yawning might be correlational, not causational, meaning that the two might be related, but it doesn't necessarily mean that one causes the other. We need to do a lot more research to be sure. If you want to find out more about some contagious behaviors, make sure you subscribe to Psy vs. Psy so you can get all of our other videos and you can learn all about the science of psychology. Until next time, keep thinking, and I'll see y'all later. Bye! In researching this video, I found out some people think that giraffes don't yawn, but I know firsthand they do this. are weird.